Hey guys, hope everyone is feeling well and safe at home. Today we're going to present our group project developed throughout this semester for the course of Innovation and Value Creation Will, which consists in answering the question of which geographical market or startup I9F should target next. In order to answer to this question, we have used the Value Creation Will methodology, and we're going to present it today. We have decided to do this presentation online because of the new COVID-19 restrictions in Portugal in respect to our families, since we're going home for the holidays. Hope you enjoyed the presentation, and if you have any questions, please let us know. So to start the presentation, we would like to introduce our team, who is diverse in background, nationalities, and gender. So the first member is Jean, who is Portuguese but was raised in France. Lorenzo, who is Italian, me, Larissa, I'm Brazilian, Madalena, who is Portuguese, and Sofiane, that is Moroccan. To present the solution, we're going to start with an elevator pitch. So 2% of the world's surface burns every year due to wildfires. And a few specialists even say that this number can increase in up to 600% in some types of forests. Wildfires react in a vicious cycle with climate change and endanger human lives. However, our usual approach to fighting them is very reactive and unstructured, which actually limits our potential to fighting them. So I9F offers a solution in this sense through prevention management and real-time firefighting tools. With a potential market of 9 billion euros and a very fragmented competition, all we need is 970,000 euros, 3 years, and a 9-people team to do it. Our presentation will be divided by the 5 phases of the value creation wheel methodology. The first one is discovering value. The second one is creating value. The third one is validating the value. The fourth one is capturing the value. And the fifth and final one is consolidating the value. So now I'm going to present phase 1, which is discovering the value. So for the context and background, we are going to mention some things that we already discussed in the elevator pitch, which is that climate change and wildfires interact in a vicious cycle by boosting each other. And a lot of specialists have said that 1 degree annual increase in the water temperature can increase the median burned area in up to 600% in some types of forests. So it's a very big problem that has been developing, and the projections of several specialists are that it should get even worse through the worsening of climate change consequences also. So just to illustrate how big is this problem to the world, we decided to bring 2 cases of countries that suffer a lot with them. The first one is Brazil, that in this year, the year of the COVID-19 pandemic, has registered one of the worst wildfires in all its history in 2 of the key biomes of the country, which are the Pantanal and the Amazon. So, as we all know, the Amazon has a huge importance not just to Brazilian authorities and Brazilian people, but also to the world because of climate change and its potential to help us fight it. And so the burning of the Amazon becomes key and an issue that we have to address through prevention and real-time firefighting, through a better response to those wildfires. And also Portugal, that suffers a lot with burns every year. Start analyzing and contextualizing our product. We're going to start with a pastel analysis. And the first key issue that we found is the fact that several governments are being pressured to address climate change lately because of the hardening of all the consequences that climate change brings to us, and the fact that sustainability has been such a big issue discussed worldwide in several UN conferences. The second part of the pastel analysis is the economic aspect of it, in which the funding for climate change initiatives have been growing tremendously, and we can actually take advantage of this increase. Just to exemplify, there's the Amazonia Fund. Another key issue for the pastel analysis is the social part, in which we have so many new technologies and scientific insights being embraced socially, even creating an opportunity for our societies to go towards digitalization and using each time more data to drive several of our everyday actions. Furthermore, sustainability has become more and more important to consumers, to companies, and not just pressuring the governments. We also have the technological context with the increased importance of satellite imagery, especially when it comes to designing public strategies in several countries around the world. So we can take advantage of this trend. And also there are very different technologies to map forest fires today, which we're also going to address in the complements analysis, which are drones, satellites, etc. The environmental context, which we already discussed in the elevator pitch and in the context and background, but just to refresh, there has been an acceleration of consequences of climate change. There has been a forecasted increase in the next decades of wildfires and of climate change consequences. And we have increasing concerns because of this through our forests. And finally, the legal environment, in which we have been experiencing a lot of increasing legislation towards environmental protection. So it's also a factor that contributes positively to our company and externally. So now finally, we're going to present the brand itself. We are I9F. We have as a mission the effective prevention and control of our forests and its communities against wildfires. And our long-term vision is to create sustainable forests and communities around the world. As we already mentioned in the elevator pitch, we're going to offer our services in two fronts, which is prevention management and real-time firefighting and crisis management. These will be more detailed on the product concept part of the project. And for now, that's it. We have identified that our project has a big alignment with the SDGs, with, to be more precise, to 9 of them. Just to name a few of the interactions that our project has with the SDGs developed by the United Nations. We have incentives for developing sustainable business opportunities in local communities. We can help contributing to the decrease in breathing diseases, which is boosted by smoke from fires. And we can also help to create sustainable land management, reduce the pollution, and preserving the local ecosystem. So you may be wondering, who are our target customers? Initially, we're going to target public authorities, more specifically the regional authorities in the regions that we're going to target. And in the long run, we see a lot of potential for also targeting private companies that use forestry products in their value chain. In order to map our progress in the project, we have defined a few key performance indicators to also help us understand what do we need to do better and to keep track of what we're doing. So our performance, our KPIs were defined in two spheres related to the team itself and also project related. At the end, in phase 5, we're going to actually evaluate how have we achieved each one of them and what do we need to improve in this sense and what were our biggest challenges when we looked at the KPIs. Also done a SWOT analysis to better understand our role as a company and which strengths, opportunities, strengths, and weaknesses we have when compared to the outside environment. So the first strength we have identified is that we have highly educated employees. We have expertise in satellite mapping and forest crisis management. We are providing a tailored service also to each one of our clients, which is very connected to current trends. We have knowledge on artificial intelligence and multi-data processing. We have opportunities, as we already mentioned in the past, of growing interest in data analysis, circular economy, increase in forest fires due to climate change, more popular pressure on governments to protect their forests. As weaknesses, we see that we do not provide real-time information on illegal deforestation yet, and this is not predicted to be in our services. And we have identified a few competitors that do offer this, so we understand that is a weakness in our product, in our service. We are new to the market, and it's a market that relies a lot on partnerships and who do you know. So we understand that we also have a weakness in this sense. We still need to develop our network of partners, but we have a strategy for that, which you guys will see in the promotion part. And we may be seen as less agile than other startups. As stressed, it's a very competitive sector right now. It's up for the taking. So we have identified a lot of competitors, which we're also going to mention in the competitive analysis. But there can be a lot of other competitors that we haven't mapped out that may come up because it's still up to the taking. And yeah, we have also performed a TAUS analysis, which we're not going to go in a lot of detail in benefit of the time. But you can take a look at the slide and understand better what we have identified through this analysis. So we have also performed a competitive analysis based on Porter's 5 forces. We have identified a high threat of new entrants because it's a market that it's up for the taking. Pioneers in other markets that are currently targeting other applications of the Earth observation technology can also come to our market and use it. We have also low power of bargaining with suppliers, but we have a high bargaining power for the public authorities. There are clients that we're targeting. There is a threat of substitution with simpler satellites and cheaper technology, but the service that they provide is not as high-end, tailored, and the quality of the images and of the reports is not as good as ours. So we understand that there is a threat of substitution, but for the clients that we are targeting, we believe that we still have a competitive advantage towards these substitutes. To further understand the competitive scenario, we have also performed a competitive analysis based on the major competitors we have identified. We have listed a few features that our solution has and also features that we don't have, but we have identified in other competitors. And we have done this table to compare the features and compare our strengths against them. As you can see, our solution has the most complete number of features when compared with our current competitors. So we believe we still have a competitive advantage towards them for providing the most complete solution to this problem. So what is our value proposition? We want to change the way we handle wildfires using the Earth observation technology to create a more structured approach to them and reducing human, economic, and natural losses through prevention and crisis management. So to finalize our analysis on the discovery value phase, we have also identified a few complements to the Earth observation technology that we can perhaps include in our services. The first is the unmanned aerial systems that have a big potential, as we have identified, and have a reduced cost compared to other tools, and can sometimes even be better than satellites as they are faster and have a better resolution. We are still studying how to incorporate this technology in our services. But for the second one, which are the soil sensors, they are way more simple to be added to our services portfolio. So we are already predicting using them in the prevention management, as we have discussed in the startup services. So they basically monitor evapotranspiration, which is a key indication of wildfires. So they actively help us to prevention on the prevention sense of the wildfires. So this was it for phase 1. And next, Lorenzo is going to present phase 2, which consists in creating value. Hope you've enjoyed.
In the next slides, I will present you phase 2, the creation of value. Phase 2 can be divided into parts. Phase 2A, idea streaming, and Phase 2B, filter generation. Phase 2, the creation of value. The startup is expected to create value, which means finding a set of possible solutions that represent potential market expansions, as well as including several criteria to filter the solution in the next step. The team for this can use also different frameworks and models and theories to help generate filters and ideas. This phase can be split in two distinctive parts. Phase A, the creation of solutions, and phase B, the creation of filters. Our team worked with several different stakeholders, mainly from these two areas, forestry department and environmental actors. These two stakeholders group helped us to achieve our solutions and our filters. In this phase, the team conducted different researches to find all possible solutions to the initial challenge, finding the best geographical market for the startup. Research is the process of collecting and generating information and interpreting this data with a challenge in mind to facilitate the decision-making process. Since in this phase it is not expected to apply any filters, the team considered the whole world as a solution. As such, the set of solutions include 193 countries that are recognized by the United Nations. Now we will move on to phase 2B, filter generation. In this phase 2B, the goal was to generate an extended list of potential filters to select the market with greatest potential by combining creative thinking and research methods in order to generate as many filters as possible. In order to generate as many filters as possible without excluding any stakeholders nor key decision maker, the team decided to apply the 6-3-5 method, a brainwriting technique that is known for involving 6 individuals and generating 3 ideas every 5 minutes. The team considered this a simple but structured tool to create a high number of high-quality filters in a short period of time, including different point of views that would contribute to a higher diversity of filters. This process of generating 3 ideas every 5 minutes was repeated several times in order to get a reasonable number of filters. This method promotes individual and unbiased thinking and guarantees everyone is able to provide its opinion, which could not happen in applying a brainstorming method. This is the reason because we decided to use an individual thinking method. As a result of the work done, 31 filters were identified and aggregated to different areas. The first one is political and governmental. The second one is environmental and climate. And the last 2 are economic and social areas.
Here we reach phase 3, an important stage of the VCW that includes 3 different stages: idea selection, filter selection, and filter ranking. In the third phase, the ideas and filters from the second phase were carefully analyzed and a final list of solutions and filters with highest potential were presented. Starting off with the idea selected, as mentioned in phase 2, the world was considered a solution to avoid pre-filtered ideas. Therefore, once the filters selected in stage B are going to narrow down the list of solutions in order to find only one market, we decided to keep all the countries from the United Nations as options available for further segmentation and targeting. The further steps counted with the help of 2 stakeholders among all the stakeholders we tried to reach. The first one is the Department of Forest Protection Against Fires from the municipality of Mafra. And the second one is the Nature and Forest Conservation Institute, known as I9F in Portugal. On the one hand, Mafra represents an area of high risk of forest fires, thus its governance is using to deal with fire impact procedures. On the other hand, I9F is a responsible authority for the forests in Portugal, meaning it is a knowledgeable source when it comes to forest fires and potential risk assessments. But they both represent the interest of potential customers in a Earth observation-based product and specialized service. Their participation in the decision-making process was very helpful. Moving to the filter selection. Phase 3B, validate value. To obtain an efficient validation of results, the team based its decision-making on both collaborative and rational decision-making styles, so the poker method was used to support the decisions when selecting filters. It structures the filters in 4 sections, as you can see: the kill, the review, multiply, and keep. Afterwards, the team presented the list of filters to stakeholders, and in a brainwriting session, each one of us wrote the filters in the respective section: the kill, review, multiply, or keep sections, according to our thoughts, in order to promote discussion in the end and reach an agreement regarding the filters that should be used. The important aspects to highlight in this process relate to the reason behind it. The filters that were immediately kept were the ones for which the team found measurable and reliable data sources, and that were relevant to the project according to both the key decision makers and stakeholders. But in some cases, it was extremely hard or even impossible to get data for some filters, so many were immediately killed. In order to assess the measurability and the extent on which the filters generated in phase 2B were reasonable, and the most important criteria to apply to the solutions, it was crucial to take into account the devil's advocate opinions to validate our decisions. Most of the filters were killed or reviewed after a call to attention made by the stakeholders to the team when questioning decisions that were not following the right reasoning. The first opinion was regarding social filters. They argued that this should not be considered without a proof correlation between them and the propensity of a country to need help in forest fire monitoring. And they gave some examples, such as the fact that there are many countries with high occurrence of forest fires that do not usually cause deaths. The other opinion relates to the fact that we were focusing too much on what are the factors that trigger the fires. Stakeholders said that the triggers can represent only very occasional cases, resulting in excluding too many countries. Considering environmental causes of fires such as global warming, measured by the countries with high temperatures, would lead to exclude many cold regions that are also victims from the forest fires. Also, we could not ignore the importance of the solutions that do not make an extensive use of their forests because they may also be in the need for help. For instance, by applying the filter regarding the indigenous presence, we would be excluding Europe and many other countries by applying filters such as the paper and wood companies, tourism, usage of forests for sports activities. We reached the third part and the last part of phase 3, in which the team ranked the filters. Here we have a representation of the ranking for global filters, which will be applied to the countries. So, by applying the first one, we will narrow the solutions according to their potential regarding the field of action of our company, the forest area. Then, the second one aims to achieve a market segment that represents the countries with high potential or higher probability of trigger forest fire. So we decide to first assess environmental factors such as the rainy free days. With the second filter, we will narrow down the solutions by selecting the ones that present a higher number of forest fires, since these countries will be the most interested in decreasing the occurrence of fires. So, until here, the first 3 filters will indicate countries with biggest potential based on these three factors. However, although the countries may have natural potential, their commitment in complying in SDGs is key for our business to be well received and aligned with country strategy as a whole. So, there's when the number 4 filter comes. Then, we believe the ease of doing business comes after natural potential and SDGs index, because first, one needs to ensure that there is some basic potential in the country selected, which can be done by the previous filters. After this basic potential is assessed, then one can measure the overall conditions for doing business in the country. To pursue with a segmentation of the countries according to their commercial interests in the forest areas, we felt the need to use the filter number 6, almost in the end, just to discard the ones that take less advantage of forests in economic terms. And finally, with the public sector being the main target, we want to create a segment of countries that satisfy the most important conditions mentioned above, but are also interested in protecting their forests. The same reasoning was followed for the local filters, that are going to filter the solutions which are the regions of the selected country. As we are decreasing the area covered by the analysis, the ranking becomes smaller since the number of solutions for regions it's much lower than the number of solutions for countries. And finally, we have the ranking of filters to apply when selecting provinces inside the selected region. We can notice that this ranking is a bit smaller than the previous one because the number of provinces is smaller than the number of regions. And to already give you some insights about this steps, the segmentation was pursued to target a more specific area inside Andalusia, which will be our selected region, inside Spain, which will be our selected country. And this way, the team can provide a more personalized service to the city councils that appear as solutions in this provinces section.
Now we will move on to phase 4A. The first part of the phase 4 consists of the value creation funnel. It consists of segmentation of countries according to the filters applied to it and targeting the most adequate country with the specific region inside of it. So we started by applying the multi-criteria decision analysis in Excel that filtered the solutions according to the criteria ranking, and we were able to find only one solution that met all the criteria, which is Spain. Here we have a clear vision of the segmentation process. Each step represents a segment, and our final segment only included Spain. So this is where we are going to expand. But even inside Spain, we needed to know where to enter the market. So we applied the whole process again, but using local filters to filter the Spanish region. We came to the conclusion that the best region to target in Spain is Andalusia, located in the south of Spain. But again, who should be our client in Andalusia? We felt the need to apply again the funnel in order to find the best provinces to target inside Andalusia, reaching Huelva, Sevilla, and Malaga. This time, we have three solutions since targeting only one would not be profitable for our startup. Now, we will move to phase 4B. This phase consists of making the concept and prototype of the product. After pursuing with the segmentation and targeting, we needed to define our positioning in Spain. So we did analysis of Andalusia's market. We found that the government was in the need to join forces in creating a common strategy for fire prevention with long-term measures and a monitoring system. Also, the forestry protection was highly regulated by law, which creates a favorable legal environment for our startup to operate. Andalusia was in charge of creating policies to protect its forests. Regarding the SDGs, the country was motivated to address their challenges by including forestry provisions in these four areas. Regarding competition, there were no players in the market using the EO products or service, so we have the opportunity to create demand, and a potential way of doing it was to partner with indirect competitors. Regarding our clients, inside the public authorities, of course, we identified two groups of clients according to their different needs. On a regional level, we have the Civil Protection and the Regional Ministry of Environment. On a more local level we have Junta de Andalusia and the City Council of the targeted provinces. By analyzing the client's profile, we found that the company would be more useful to the authorities and get the most profit out of it if it tailors the offering to each client. And to do this, we will assume a position of both midstreams and downstream industries. On one hand, the regional authorities are more concerned with the data provided for the whole region of Andalusia in order to manage fires in a national level. So for them, we will offer the EO-based product plus formation sessions to teach them how to use the data provided. On the other hand, the local government and the city councils are more concerned about how to manage the resources inside each province. That's why we will offer them a personalized service and advising from the transformed EO data. Our entry strategy includes a partnership with the InfoCaplan, a recent public investment for forest protections from fires. However, this initiative only provides post-fire information, and that's where we're going to enter. We will partner with InfoCaplan and provide them a more advanced technology, but still easy to use plus a personalized service while addressing the SDGs, of course. By doing so, the company can take advantage of the resource used in this initiative and save some of its own, allowing the price to be lower for the city councils that are the client with the lower budgets. And last but not least, I9F will have access to a network of already established relationship with the government and also local knowledge. In terms of marketing strategy, a complete 7 piece analysis was done to define all the strategies that we will be following. The product consists of a personalized digital platform in which I9F stores all the information used in its service. The platform includes forecasts on fire and damaged area. It also includes reports based on satellite imagery that provide real-time information on fire spread and associated risks, fire and burn scars, forest density, and statistics about the past fire records. In addition, we also offer evapotranspiration sensors to local guards for monitoring evapotranspiration on the ground. Our long-term goal is to become a multi-sided platform that connects government, local communities, and the private sector through our fellowship program that we will be further discussing in the promotion strategy. As you can see here, this is our landing page. The customers will be asked to log in. Here you can see all the services that we can offer to our clients in the left side of the page, with all the statistics and data necessary depending on the demand of each customer. Regarding promotion, a robust strategy was developed in several fronts with a local approach, aiming to target not only Andalusia but also expand brand awareness worldwide. Some of our strategies will also address our indirect targets and local communities that suffer from the same problem. Our belief on doing that is that citizens might force their government to use our service. For the long-term goal, we aim to create sustainable communities. It is important that our promotion strategy also address this since the beginning of our operation. That is why a few strategies will focus on the creation of a network of communities, service providers, citizens, NGOs, and companies that may partner with us. In this context, a social media campaign will be released throughout a short promotional video to be exhibited on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. KDMs believe that the social media campaign can be extremely successful by taking advantage of the current buzz regarding wildfires. Secondly, to target Andalusia more specifically, I9F aims to sponsor a hackathon to uncover at least one sustainable project idea. This project should be implemented pro bono by I9F. The biggest challenge for this strategy is developing a partnership with local universities, local government, and private sector. However, this strategy has a big potential to increase brand awareness in the region and start the partnership with Andalusia's government. Furthermore, I9F will create a website and participate in conferences such as Conference on Forest Fires Research and Conference for Sustainable Innovation. Finally, to build sustainable competitive advantage against competitors, I9F will create a fellowship program. This program will consist in a multi-sided platform in which local communities, NGOs, local government, and private sector can sign up and have access to our network of partners around the world. In the long term, the strategy's goal is to create a database of partners even before entering new markets. In terms of the price, I9F is going to use a penetration pricing strategy. The price will depend on the dimension of the area scanned and the package of the service. While for the place, the product is going to be launched in Andalusia since it's the most attractive region. We're going also to target add region in Spain starting from the third year. Starting from the fifth year, more countries are going to be targeted, with France and Portugal being a target for us, since they scored high in attractiveness and they are geographically close.
Let's now talk about phase 5, where the company has to decide whether the project is a go, no-go, or check. In this purpose, the company decided to conduct a 3Ms analysis. Firstly, the manpower. So it was crucial for the company to define the human resources needed for each one of the essential activities defined here. So the 5 KDMs will take care of the project administration, covering then the strategic management, the finance, the investments, the accounting, but also the contracts negotiation, and more broadly, all the administrative and strategic aspects of building a startup. Moreover, they will take care also of the marketing and startups brand image, which will be very important to develop its client's portfolio. And furthermore, they will also conduct market researches when needed for new projects, for example. In the part of the customer service, one KDM will be helped by a Spanish-speaking employee in order to for the startup to build lasting and strong relationships with its clients, which is also very important for the sustainability of the startup. Finally, I9F will hire 3 data engineers for the gathering and processing of data, and also to improve constantly the platform on its customers' needs and go further in the offering of tailored services. One of them will be the chief data engineer and will be managing this section. Let's now talk about the time aspect of the 3Ms analysis. So based on the essential activities defined in the previous section, the team has built an implementation timeline, highlighting the staging process of this project. So first, this project will be a 3-year long and will start in 2021. Some specificities are interesting to notice here, such as the promotion aspect that will be decreasing over time since the startup will be gaining more and more visibility in the market, and hopefully partnerships that will help in this sense. In regards of clients formation, the team is planning on doing 2 sessions a year till the end of the project in order to keep our clients informed and more comfortable with the platform and the service that they will use. Finally, the startup is also expecting to expand its activities in early 2023, such that market research and application to further European funding will be necessary, as one can see in the table in this slide. We are planning, for example, to conduct some market research by the end of 2022 in this purpose. Let's now talk about the third aspect of the 3Ms analysis, which concerns the financing part. So according to PwC, the Earth observation market has grown 15% from 2014 to 2019. And it is predicted that the market will be sized 9 billion in 2023. In fact, there is a growing demand for Earth observation services that aim at addressing global issues, which is why I9F will mostly rely on public and European funding for the financing of its activities and investments. As some Earth observation research projects in the forestry sector were financed under H2020, which is one of the most common and used grants and incentive program. We can call, for example, the project Focus of the startup Vito Remote Sensing that benefited from financing from this program. Furthermore, in 2016 and 2017, 60 million euros went to Earth observation research projects within the scope of H 2020. And after 2020, the program will be continued under the name of Horizon Europe, and I9F will apply to raise major part of its budget. Other programs in Spain are interesting for the startup to raise funds, such as R&D&I state program, and also the company will participate in fundraising events in order to capture some funds from angel investors, which will be also very helpful in terms of financing. Now, in terms of implementation costs, the R&D expenses will be the biggest cost centers with an estimated budget of 325,000 euros. The calculation was made based on the yearly salaries of the 9 people involved, since usually in R&D and innovation grants and incentives programs, above a certain level of education, one is not considered as an expense in HR anymore, but R&D instead. Which is why, in order to capture more funding, the company is investing a lot on its people and on the R&D aspect of it. I9F defined then a salary of 35,000 euros for the 8 people with an MSc and 45,000 for the chief data engineer that has a PhD. So that when applying to Horizon Europe, for example, as I just said, I9F will be granted a higher amount for having an employee with a PhD, for instance. Yes, and further costs have been defined as explained in the table here in the slide for a total budget of 970,000 euros. In this section, we will then cover the business model, which was very important in phase 5 in order to go from a prototype to an actual project. So as explained in phase 1, I9F's value proposition aims at changing the way wildfires are being handled by supporting public authorities in the creation of sustainable communities in order for them to meet the sustainable development goals at a regional level. In terms of key activities and key resources, as mentioned in phase 1 in the value proposition, the startup platform offers 2 kinds of activities. So first, the prevention aspect of it, which will provide customers with daily assessment of fire ignition and constant alerts in case of high risk, for example. And then comes the crisis management tool, which will provide the clients with the precise position of active fires and respective severity. Also estimate the resources needed and the areas to tackle first. The startup will need technological and scientific resources that will be acquired through partnerships and financial means. In terms of partners, so I9F would strongly benefit from partnering with companies from the satellite imagery and Earth observation industry. In this purpose, the team has identified some corporate partners that would be interesting for its development. So first, Deimos Imaging. The company is specialized in Earth observation systems and remote sensing services. Partner with this company would provide an I9F with further resources and knowledge about the sector and the market, as well as visibility and a great network. For Deimos, it would be the opportunity to expand its activities to forest crisis management, for example. A second commercial partner that the startup identified was Sener. Sener is a provider of engineering services, production of equipment, and integration of systems that would provide the startup with technological advances. Other commercial partners would be of I9F interests, such as Interestalis, Alenia Space España, Iberespacio, or HV Systems, for example. Furthermore, the startup would strongly benefit from partnering with a university and or research centers in order to conciliate research and action, which would provide the project with more visibility and meaning at a national level. In addition, such a partnership would give I9F a substantial advantage when applying to European grants and incentives programs, since most of these programs value collaboration within the public sector and the academic sector. The theme, in this purpose, the team has identified the CAB, which is the Astrobiology Center of Spain, and also the University of Madrid for its Department of Environmental Science, which will be very interesting for I9F, since it would be a mix of technology and also knowledge regarding biodiversity and forests. In terms of customer, as defined in the user scenario, our customers will be the public authorities on forestry that act on policy making and forest protection from wildfires. So we identified the Regional Ministry of Environment of the Government of Andalusia, namely, but also some local clients such as the Huelva or City Council, or the Malaga or Sevilla City Councils. In terms of cost structure and revenue streams, so in terms first of revenue streams, the team analyzed different pricing strategies and ended up with a subscription-based model. The customers will be paying a package in a monthly basis, which means that I9F will benefit from regular cash flows over time, leading to a higher financial solidity, and therefore this will ease the contraction of a loan at lower interest charges in order to expand its activities. The clients will have the possibility to choose between different packages, since I9F is offering tailored services. Some will go to the complete one, which is more expensive, offering both of the prevention activities and crisis management tool, and other clients will only go for one of these options. The pricing depends on three variables. So first, the density of trees. The more trees it is, the more precise the satellite image must be, and therefore the higher the price. Second variable on which the pricing strategy depends, it's the frequency of fires. The more frequent the forest fires, the more often will the tool be used, and therefore the higher the price. And third, it's the dimension of the area scan. The larger the area covered, the lower the price per hectare. This was then for the revenue stream. Let's now switch to the cost structure. So the cloud storage and the software costs will be a substantial part of their variable costs. In addition, usual fixed costs had been taken into account, such as the office rent, the wages, and other SG&A costs. Otherwise, in terms of implementation costs, marketing and HR, as well as R&D, will be fundamental for attracting consumers and keep a good pace of innovation. Regarding the KPIs that were defined in phase 1, some were easily measured while others were more subjective, which is why we developed a rating system that varies from 1 to 5. As one can see, most of the KPIs received a 5 and were completely fulfilled, but the team considered that the deadline fulfillment wasn't achieved since the members encountered some difficulties to meet the weekly deadlines for each phase. Moreover, some other KPIs received like a 4, such as the development of 5 feasible promotion strategies that the team considered as not fully achieved since there is space for improvement. Moreover, besides defining and measuring KPIs for project management phase, the team also established some KPIs that should guide the performance measurement during the actual implementation phase and beyond. So these KPIs were divided into sections. We have financial KPIs, marketing related, SDGs also, and other KPIs regarding the clients. So for example, in terms of financial KPIs that the team established was the return on investment, and also, for example, for SDGs, the number of forest communities benefited could be one KPI that helped measure the impact of the project. Let's now talk about the next steps for I9F in its development. As highlighted in the 3M analysis, I9F is planning on expanding its activities, and in order to structure the development strategy of the startup, an ANSOB matrix has been developed. It is planned that in early 2023, the startup will conquer new markets, ideally in Spain, such as the region of Galicia, with the same products following a market development strategy. In this purpose, I9F will need to continue its contracts with the key partners identified in Phase 5, such as Demos and the University of Madrid, but also find new public partners in the region in question. Also, following a 3-year execution of the project, if successful, I9F will adopt a market penetration strategy such that it will continue to provide and improve its service in the municipalities identified. The same partners will be then involved. Then, as one can see in the matrix, the company will be able to adopt a product development strategy and leverage the brand image and network it will benefit from to search for further governmental, academic, commercial and financing partners in order to develop services in new areas but in the same geographical market. Finally, as a long-term perspective, the company will adopt a diversification strategy and will have to seek for new partners based on market research and benchmarking efforts. During this whole process, the team felt that it made progress in terms of organization and teamwork, but also in the project itself. The framework helped having a feeling of progressing and really see the evolution from one step to another. Also, working and confronting ideas with people from different cultures and backgrounds made the process funnier and really powerful. The flexibility was one of the other aspects of the framework that the team members really liked, since it gives one the possibility of going back to early stages and revise it, which leads to different outcomes and bring a really fruitful insight. The clear definition of goals was also crucial and helped the team to have a clear vision of the objectives and the result wanted. Finally, working as a team brought very relevant insight, but also was challenging. Many obstacles were to overcome in the different stages of the process, which is why the VCW method was really a powerful and interesting project to work on, and the whole team felt really rewarding regarding this experience. Thank you for your attention.